What's up there, guys? Are we back? Yeah, I think we're back. Welcome back to our new video, Dibalin Football Channel. Kaizer Chiefs Football Channel, football from the fans' perspective. You know what it is. We're reliving the derby, reflecting on the things we learned in that game. I think there's a lot of things we learned that we couldn't, speak about them because we were so excited, we were so happy, and emotions were flying. So we couldn't really sit down and reflect on the game and be able to say how did we play, what is it that we did wrong, and what is it that we did right. There's a lot of things that I think are so much interesting that we need to sort of reflect on them in this game. And yeah, let's get into it. If you're new in the channel, please let us subscribe. Let's turn on the notification button, and yeah, let's hear from you in the comment section. Kaizer Chiefs 1, Orlando Pirates 0. A very sweet victory for me. The boys got the job done, and the coach, the tactics of the coach, they were correct. Everything was fine about how we played. We were very focused. There was a lot of concentration from our guys. We saw the dedication, we saw the work rate, we spoke about those things. And those the things that we've been crying about as we said it. And this time around, the boys pushed and they made me so proud. Beating Orlando Pirates was never a problem for me. I don't think Kaizer Chiefs, was too weak against Orlando Pirates, even in the previous derbies that we played. Recent derbies, the one we lost 2-1, we messed up a lot of chances. We wasted a lot of chances, and we made mistakes. We missed a penalty, and we missed a rebound. Ngezana missed a rebound. We missed a lot of opportunities that we could have scored. And then we made mistakes at the back. You remember the mistake Ngezana, Akumu, and Akpe led to the first goal, of course. And if you eliminate those kind of errors, you realize that the game against Orlando Pirates, the first one, we should have won. We missed a lot of opportunities as well. And that's one thing that frustrated me. This time around, eliminated those mistakes. Very focused from the word go. The boys defended very well. That's a very solid defense. One thing that I saw in this game, we allowed Orlando Pirates to have the ball, in their half, in the spaces that are not so dangerous. Whenever they came on our side, whenever they sort of progressed into our half, we closed down the spaces, we made the pitch to be small, and the boys were chasing. One thing that I admire in football, I'm a person who's so interested in the defensive work of the game. They chased the players, they chased the ball, and it was so impressive. They didn't give Orlando Pirates time on the ball, more especially on our half. They didn't give them time on the ball. Only when they have the ball in the middle of the park on their half, Kaizer Chiefs set back, and we defended very deep. And that's one thing that impressed me. Another thing that impressed me is that tactically, the mistakes that we did in the previous games against Orlando Pirates, they were so defining in how we lost the games. The first and the most important one was that we defended very, very high. We were holding a very high line, and Orlando Pirates could exploit the spaces, and they could outrun us. Of course, they have pacey players like Mango, Hoto, Orlando Pirates, Pule, pacey players up front. And if you defend very high, you are running a risk of being caught off position, and because our defense is very slow, and it's very difficult, even in terms of organization at the back, the keeper and everything. A lot of mistakes, like it happened in the previous one. Before this one, the first goal is that we left a lot of spaces behind us and don't have pace. The keeper comes out, miscommunication, and we concede a goal. This time around, very compact, deep, don't allow spaces at the back. And something that we cried about, we complained about, to say, why do you allow a lot of spaces at the back when you know that you are slow, when you know that your keeper is not, so convincing defensively, stuff like that, And this time around, they did everything correct, deep, allow Orlando Pirates to have the ball. And one thing, to beat a deep defensive line, you need to be very quick. Orlando Pirates is a very quick team, but this time around they just couldn't do it. And you need technically gifted players. The only player that they had that could break through the lines was Marco. Marco, very skillful, technically gifted, and could break through the lines. But as soon as Kambole dropped back, tracked him, as soon as Ngezana was there was no much danger from Orlando Pirates. And And they tried high balls, couldn't work because you are playing at our strength. If you come with high balls, we have players that can compete, on air. You have players that can compete aerially. Eric Mato, Ngezana, Cardoso in his normal position. You're not gonna survive on air. You're not gonna survive with aerial balls. And Perez could not break it. And our fullbacks remained at the back. They were not attacking so much. They remained on our half, and they didn't give Orlando Pirates time, to do the counter-attacks. They are very good, Orlando Pirates, in terms of counter-attacks. And Joseph Zimbabwe, I read something. I heard that Joseph Zimbabwe is criticizing Kaizer Chiefs and Gavin Hunt and the tactics that they were applied. This is what he says. He says, is it normal to play counter-attacks at home? It is not possible for me as a coach for a home game that I play a deep block. So that's what he says. That's what he says, that criticize Kaizer Chiefs for playing a deep block and relying on counter-attacks. So one thing that I want to say is that Joseph Zimbabwe must focus on his team. They bought everyone in the transfer window. Kaizer Chiefs couldn't buy a player. They bought every player. They got every player that Orlando Pirates needs. He has every player that Orlando Pirates needs, that man. And he's supposed to beat any team in PSL. And things that do not look so good with him. And I don't think the fans are happy with him. So he must focus on his team, must focus on on improving his squad and on using the right players in their right positions. He made a lot of tactical mistakes. Players off position and all that, and he has to focus on that. You can't look at Kaizer Chiefs and say, hey, you play a deep block at home, counter-attacks and all that. That's all bullshit to me. I'm not taking it. They lost the game. They must take it as it is. We have been losing games through mistakes against Orlando Pirates, and the man has been getting credit. The man is not so much of a good coach. Is not so much of a good coach. They might have won a cup, but their position on the log, taking the fact that Mamelodi Sundowns has not been playing games for the past, I don't know how long they've not been playing, but they're struggling to catch up with Mamelodi Sundowns, and they have a squad of almost equal, capacity. So yes, we play to our strength. It is possible to play, counter-attack at home if that is your strength, if that will suit your players, and Gavin Hunt did it well. It worked for us. Thank you very much, Mr. Zimba. We don't take you serious. We don't take you serious. Focus on your team. And the things we learned, the few things we learned, first, Bernard Parker in that game. To be honest, at the age of 34, the energy and the work rate that he showed in that game in the middle of the park, to be honest, it did very well. And I'm very much impressed. And I don't think it is enough to warrant him an extension at the age of 34. And judging, from the fact as to how the man has played, has displayed it before, it doesn't help to say let the player just perform towards, the transfer and the end of contract, and then they deserve to be, to get the extension. I don't think so. But yeah, he did very well for us. Even the game against Pedro de Luanda, I saw he had the energy in the middle of the park. Did very well, Parker. We thank him. He's always been like that. One thing that I like on his side is that even if quality is not at his best at the moment, the work rate of Bernard Parker you can never question, and that's one thing that he's a soldier. The man is a soldier. The second person, Njabulo Blom, he doesn't get enough praises. He doesn't get enough credit as is supposed, according to me. First, his marking improved. Normally he commits fouls and he's a natural defender, of course, but his marking has improved and competes against one of the best midfielders in South Africa right now, Munare, Mutambo, Ndlovu, and Ben Mutware. You have to be strong. You have to be competent. At the age of 21, the boy gave it a fight, and it's always been like that. Even previous debuts got some yellow cards, but hard marking, and his marking now is better. Less fouls, less yellow cards. That's one thing that I want, and I think he managed to get himself a yellow card towards the end of the game. But of course, marking very improved. Also, his progressing, his progression, ball progression going forward, it has improved. One thing that we've been mentioning is that he always finds himself in good positions. He always finds a way to link up with Ngobo and the others to move forward. His ball progression it's very impressive currently. I think he's improving. Another thing, pressure resistant. If you're playing in that position, you need to know how to protect the ball, and he has improved on that. He has improved on that as a converted player, and is improving. I don't think there's a problem with him playing in the middle of the park. I doubt. 21 years, he can only improve. Nukovic, he chased each and every ball in that game. Each and every ball that went that side, he chased it. He was, defensively, was marking, was, tackling, and that's one thing that we know him for. We know him for that. He was involved in duels, was involved in confrontations, and he held his end, and that's one thing that we want. The fighting spirit of Nukovic is one thing that I always appreciated, and in this game did very well. This game did very well. Defensively, of course, decent defensive line. Our fullbacks, like we said, they didn't attack a lot. They marked Ngezana. Assist Ngezana. One thing that I like about him is that he's naturally is a centre back. So sometimes when Mato, is off position, he's able to cover. He's able to get in and still cover for the defense, for the central defense. And that's how flexible he is in the game. That's another aspect of the game that he brings in this team. And he can only improve. He can only improve. Just signed a contract with Kaizer Chiefs. He can only get better. Then young players, generally the young players, how Gavin has treated young players in Kaizer Chiefs, we know is not doing the best this time at this moment. Kaizer Chiefs is not in one of the favorable positions. We have not been winning games, but one thing that Gavin has done well is how he has treated the young guys. Happy Mashiane, Daryl Macheke, Blom, Ngezana, these guys, Ngobo, all of them under 23 boys. And Kaizer Chiefs, that's another thing that people are not checking. We have boys that have come in that are trying so hard, and Gavin Hunt is handling them properly, and I think they can only get better. Daryl Machek was back, and Lesago also needs to get game time. I saw also Khatebe outside, he was on the bench. The boys can only get better, and that's one thing that we appreciate from Mr. Hunt, is that his use of young players, his handling of young players. Also, Frosler is still under 23, so yeah, there's future, there's hope. But I'm not so excited. I'm not saying we can play deep and still win games against other teams. There are teams where we must, look like we want to attack, look like, we are the most, forward-going team. And against Orlando Pirates, we had to sit back. But very good results. Very good results. I'm very happy. They must give us Bayern Munich. They must give us Manchester City. It must come. Everything must come. We are ready. Kaizer Chiefs is on fire. Though it's a joke, of course, we know. But Kaizer Chiefs, very proud of the boys. Love and peace.